It feels really, really good to get back to some sense of normality. It is a hybrid fashion week, so our show schedule's about 50-50. Some of the designers that have really enjoyed playing into the digital medium in the last year and a half will continue to do that. But we do have half of the schedule where we have fashion shows, presentations, walkthrough by designers, events, obviously all under sort of COVID guidelines and COVID restrictions that have been put in place in partnership with DCMS. But it does feel really good. We had sort of an opening drinks last night, and there is just such a sense of fantastic energy of being able to come back together and, of course, support the incredible businesses that we have in this country.
Caroline, you are missing some of the bigger names. Burberry are not showing. Victoria Beckham isn't showing. What impact will that have on the event? And also, will you be able to have all the international buyers and editors? What sort of restriction will that bring in?
Oh, so I'll answer that in three bits, I think. So Burberry and Victoria Beckham, as you're right, they are the bigger shows, and they did need the security around people being able to travel and understanding what quarantine exemptions might be available for key young talent that maybe haven't had access to vaccinations to be able to come into the country as part of their shows. We did get some of that, but we didn't get it until end of July, which is actually quite late to start planning for quite a significant fashion show. So they decided, with that uncertainty, that they would do filmed presentations. Those will be released over the next few weeks, but both are still, of course, very supportive of London and British fashion and incredible designers. I was actually talking to people last night who are really excited just to see the young talent on the schedule. You know, it really gives an opportunity for them to shine. And we have incredible talent, as you know, in London. We're known as being these leaders of creativity and young talent coming through, as well as key independent businesses. So I think is that there's going to be a huge amount of energy focused on those. In terms of international travel, is that our guests started to arrive from Wednesday onwards. We're seeing guests from the US, from mainland Europe, but of course the Asian audience aren't able to travel, and the teams aren't traveling in the same quantities, whether that's because of corporate restrictions, budgets, or individuals that just don't want to travel. Sorry, the joys of filming from home in the morning. We become apologies for that. And so we'll have an international audience. We're super excited about it, and of course very much looking forward to catching up with those and understanding what the impact COVID's had on their markets and on their businesses over the last year and a half as well.
Sounds like someone else is excited there as well. It's Karen jumping in. I want to ask you about some of the trends we've witnessed during COVID, because, I mean, in earlier days we saw some of the high street retailers warehouse their entire collection for a season, which has taken a lot of the fast out of some of the fast fashion. I know the industry had been pushing back against some of the speed and trying to get more sustainability. But what are the biggest trends that you've witnessed with COVID for the fashion industry?
Well, you're absolutely right, is that it has forced many businesses really to take stock, and it's accelerated the conversations around sustainability. Is that right at the beginning of the pandemic, when stores had to close, you know, stock was left on the shop floor, is that it just was a stark reality around maybe the overproduction that happens in the industry. Is that fantastic that businesses have been resilient, being able to adapt, being able to, as you said, warehouse some of those collections. But it's really getting us thinking about how we change the industry for the future. And at London Fashion Week, many of the young designers are starting their businesses using upcycled, recycled materials, wanting to produce less, but produce fantastic quality, and of course, fantastic creativity as well. So it's a really, really interesting time in the fashion industry. I think, like most industries, we don't feel like we're through it yet, but, you know, being able to host London Fashion Week does feel like there's green shoots, and that we're starting to build back in a really sustainable way that's focused on what the future of our industry might look like.